Welcome to 9.14. We are starting two-step word problems. Very similar ideas as yesterday when we did one-step word problems, but now we're adding an extra operation into the mix. So that concept of whether things happen once or whether they're happening repeatedly is going to become even bigger today. We're going to reiterate our concepts of how we choose our operations. Remember, if you feel like your answer is getting bigger, if the operation is making those values bigger, you're going to look, are we putting together different sized groups? Are you putting together one group on top of another group? If so, you're adding. If it's equal groups getting put together, groups of students getting in a van, groups of candy getting put into gift bags, you're multiplying. Remember, we look at these operations conceptually. If you feel like it's getting smaller, the value will be shrinking. Are we taking away a chunk? Are we getting rid of just one time, one value, not repeatedly? We're subtracting. If it's repeating, or it's happening over again, or breaking it into equal groups, now we're looking at division. All right, this right here, this conceptual look at operations is the best way. If you're still trying to use keywords, things like that, you're not performing at the best level you could be. Let's look at the steps and expectations for word problems again. Read the word problem for comprehension. Probably the most overlooked step, but also the most important. Read it, restate it, summarize it. It's through reading, comprehending, and even summarizing that we can look at these concepts. We can look at these operations. We can figure out, does this feel like addition? Does this feel like multiplication? Am I taking groups together? Am I breaking into groups? If you can't summarize, if you don't understand the word problem, you will not be able to figure out the operations. Circle the given information. A lot of students jump straight to this step. Do not jump straight to that step. It's a very important step, though. Label the variable. You have to tell me in detail what the variable represents. Write an equation. Very, very important. Do not try to just break these apart step by step on your own. Write the equation. We know how to solve two-step equations. It's a lot easier to solve a two-step equation than to try to figure out, well, do I do this? Do I do that? An equation gives you a step-by-step guide of what to solve, which operations to use. And the final step is solve. Everything we do involves units. Okay, your final answer has to have units. Your variable has to have some form of a unit. All of these steps are required and expected. Jenny rented a bike from John's bike shop. It costs $10 plus $3 per hour. If Jenny paid $19, then she rented the bike for how many hours? So I read the word problem. I want to kind of summarize it. So it costs $10 plus $3 per hour. So $10, I paid that once. That does not repeat. $3 per hour. It sounds like that's repeating every hour. Okay? $10, I'm paying that. That means I went from paying nothing to paying 10. It's gotten bigger. It just happened once, though. It's not reoccurring. I just took $10, slapped it down on the table. There it is. To me, that sounds like addition. $3 per hour, that's repeating. To me, that sounds like multiplication. It's taking however many hours, groups of 3, so times 3. Jenny paid $19. Well, that's my equals. That's the end. That's the final amount she paid. My variable is H for number of hours. And you can use X. I like to use variables that represent what I'm looking for. Forgot to circle my given information. I'm going to go back. $10 plus $3. I'm going to circle the per hour so I remember that sounds like multiplication to me. Now I need to label my variable, which I have. H equals number of hours she rented the bike. Write an equation. Well, I paid $10. And then on top of that, I paid $3 per hour. Well, $3 per hour, I know how many hours. I don't know the actual number, but I know how to represent it. Paid a total of $19. Remember, One good keyword, one keyword that I will always encourage: paid, total, final, anything that sounds like what you do at the end, whether you're renting a bike, whether you're going on a road trip, whatever it is, whatever you're doing at the end, the finalized answer, that's a good way to look for equals. Now I'm just going to solve it. I see 10, I see 3, I'm going to go through and figure it out. I'm adding 10, then I'm multiplying by 3, follow the order of operations, sorry guys. Then I'm adding 10, that's what's happening. I need to undo it, so I'm going to subtract 10, divide by 3. That's how I undo it. So I'm going to subtract my 10 from both sides. I get my identity of 0, 3h equals 9, and then it tells me I'm going to divide by 3 next. H equals 3. Now it has to have a unit. This is a word problem. My unit is 3 hours. I can always look, number of hours. Think like English class. You're answering in a complete sentence. How many hours? How many hours did she rent the bike? She rented the bike for 3 hours. Next problem. Dan spent $18 on a magazine and 3 notepads. If the magazine cost $6, how much was each notepad? So I read it for comprehension, and I'm going to try to summarize a little bit. So he spent a total of $18 on a magazine and 3 notepads. Magazine cost $6, so I only paid $6 once. Remember, look for things that repeat, things that don't. $6 does not repeat. That's a one-time payment, but it's making the value bigger. So to me, that sounds like addition. And 3 notepads. How much was each notepad? Well, I don't know the cost of the notepad, but I'm buying 3 sets of them. That's repeating. To me, it's getting bigger. It sounds like multiplication if I have groups, 3 groups of an unknown price. I'm going to circle my given information. $18, that sounds like my total. If it helps, you can write little symbols above things. $6, well, I paid that once, so to me that sounds like addition. 3 notepads. Well, that's 3 sets of an unknown amount. That's multiplication. Label your variable. N is the cost of a notepad. Again, look in that final question. How much was each notepad? That gives you your variable. N equals cost of notepad. So he spent a total of $18. So $18 equals, he paid $6 once, and then he bought 3 notepads. Well, 3 sets of an unknown cost, so 3n. There's my variable. Or sorry, there's my equation. So first I'm multiplying by 3. I'm adding 6. I know it's addition because it's positive and it's separated by addition or subtraction. That's what's happening. So I'm going to subtract 6. I'm going to divide by 3. And that's how I solve. Minus 6 from both sides. 6 minus 6 gives me my identity of 0. 18 minus 6 is 12. Remember, you have to do it from both sides. These are all calculator moments, boys and girls. Calculator moments. I'm left with 3n because 6 minus 6 was my identity of 0. Next, it tells me I'm going to divide by 3. That cancels. I'm left with n because I got my identity of 1. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Now, it's not just 4, it's $4. Every step must be followed. Read the problem for comprehension. I hate that I always have to give that step, but a lot of students just jump to circling information. If I didn't read and summarize in my head, I wouldn't know that this was addition. I wouldn't have known this was multiplication. If you just circle numbers, you're going to get the wrong answer. On your own, try this problem. Pause the video, show all your work, follow every step. When you're ready, hit play, and I'll give you the solutions. Welcome back. So you would have read through the problem. You would circle the given information. So 35 students. To me, that sounds like a total. That's my equal. You rented one van that held 11 students. Well, that's just a one-time thing. So I'm going to be adding that amount. The rest went in went in cars that held 4 students. I'm going to circle that whole thing. That means I have 4 in each group. I have an unknown group of 4, or unknown sets of 4. So to me, that sounds like multiplication. C equals number of cars. It says right there, how many cars do you need? So I have to write that as my unknown. I write out my equation, 11, because I had 11 students in a van. That's just a one-time thing. The 4 students per car repeats, so it's multiplication. 4 sets of C equals a total of 35 students. We go through, we solve, you should end up getting 6 cars that you'd need. We identified and labeled the variable in a word problem. We set up 2-step equations based on a word problem, and then we solve for the missing information in a 2-step word problem. So rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 how well we hit our target today. We will do some practice problems in class tomorrow, and we will reiterate these ideas during Fast and Studious. Thanks for coming by, and I will see you in class.